Welcome back to Tree Talk. I'm Jamie Dahl with Central State University, and I'm here with Rachel Neuenfeldt. And Rachel's going to be sharing some more with us on the Wayne National Forest and plan revision.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, so we were talking about how we get all of this work done on the Wayne National Forest, and really the biggest thing that we do is, well, right now at least, is go through what's called a forest plan revision process. So forest plans, you can see on the slide here, are these big picture documents that every national forest has, and we have them because of this act called the National Forest Management Act that came out in 1976 that said, every forest needs this guiding document. We need this plan. And so really what this does is it guides the management practices. It's not going to tell you we're going to do this specific action right here, we're going to have this project over here, but what they do is try and balance the environmental factors, the economic factors, and the societal factors to just get a really big picture on what the future of management might look like on the forest. What are our desired conditions? What standards and guidelines do we want to follow? And it's really important that these are regularly updated. So every 10 to 15 years or so, we update these plans. And so on the Wayne National Forest, our last plan was updated in 2006. So we're right in that window there of the time to update these plans.
Time to update. And so interesting, so a lot of those complex factors, but really important to highlight that balance of the environmental and the social.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I think that's something that people often leave out. We're not just looking at the ecological or environmental factors, but really trying to make sure that we're balancing those social and economic factors as well.
Wow. And so it definitely sounds like it can be a complex process. Could you tell us a little bit about the process itself, Rachel?
Sure. And you can see here on the slide as well just a little bit more about the process. And so it's a three-phase process, this forest plan revision. It starts with an assessment phase, and during the assessment, we're really trying to do a rapid evaluation of those ecological, social, and environmental, or economic conditions I was talking about before. And it's really a data gathering phase. So you want to kind of take a look at, well, what has changed since you did your last plan? What new information has come to light? New scientific information, new trends. Maybe you had a new factory or something open that's going to change your landscape a little bit and change the economic conditions. And then once you've done all that gathering, you move into the plan development phase. And so this is where you start actually looking at, okay, well, how do we want this to look? What's our vision for this for the future as we move forward? And then, of course, you move into the implementation and the monitoring of this plan. So it's a really big process, and it definitely takes quite a lot of time and quite a lot of coordination and people to get this done.
And so, Rachel, where is the Wayne in this process right now?
So we're still pretty early on in our process. We are in the assessment phase. So I talked a little bit about, in the slide here, I'll show just a little bit more about what that assessment phase looks like. So like I said, this is our data gathering, our information gathering phase. And we actually just reached a pretty big milestone for us. We released our draft assessment just on January 24th recently. And so this draft assessment is a kind of a combination of documents. It all encompasses this draft assessment, but we have a main document, the draft assessment document. You can see the photo there, as well as 10 supplemental reports that speak to other things that we need to include in this document that didn't quite fit the main framework. So there's a lot of really good information, and we tried to write it in a way that was accessible to the most people.
Okay, so these are documents that you want folks to read and get their input on. Is that right?
Absolutely. And in fact, we have a review period going on right now. So all of these documents are available on our website, and we're really encouraging people to go and take a look at them. Let us know, is there something missing in there? Are we not mentioning something we should? Did we mischaracterize something? People know their forests around here, and so getting that public insight and input is really important to us.
That's awesome. That's neat to include folks in that process.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit about, in this assessment and all this work you've done, it sounds like you probably already know some things, have some takeaways. Can you share some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're starting to get to some of these main points that we're finding in our draft assessment. And I will say these are preliminary at this point. These could change, especially as we get more information from people. But we're starting to see that, the forests are changing, so we're having that mesification, so this shift from these oak-dominated forests to maple in our forests, and that's a big part of what we're seeing. We're seeing that recreation is changing. We're actually seeing that a lot of water-based recreation is becoming more popular, so things like kayaking and boating and other types of water uses in the forest. Of course, we're seeing that the climate is changing, so that's a big thing that's really driving everything else. All of the other changes that that are happening on the forests are driven by the climate changing as well. And then we're seeing that infrastructure demand and use is changing. So the Forest Service is really starting to look at what's called sustainable recreation. And that's taking a look at, are you putting in a ton of new things, or are you really managing the buildings that you have, and just trying to take a smart look at that. So we're seeing that shift at the national level, as well as things like roads and other things and other infrastructure across the forest, just changing in their usage or changing in their stability.
Wow. So it's really important for people to contribute their thoughts, because you're trying to make this forest work for everyone, and everyone has kind of different uses, values, and demands on that land.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I mentioned, this is public land. This is the national forest system, so it belongs to everybody. So really getting people's input is really important. So on the slide here, we've got a couple of ways to get involved. So, I didn't mention it before, but we have, you can always visit our website. You can always check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We're posting about our draft assessment. We're posting about events we're having. And if you have specific questions about the plan revision, you can call the numbers here. That gets you to me, so I can always direct people where they need to go, or send us an email. But we're also having 3 open houses during this review period that, they really aren't specific to our forest plan revision, but they are really trying to set the stage and show what the whole forest is doing. So we're having them during this review period. Like I said, they're not specific to this forest plan revision, but we want to make sure that people can see that forest plan revision isn't this process that's working in a silo. It's not working all by itself. It's really part of the bigger working of the forest. So we're inviting people to come and speak with our forest supervisor, to speak with our program specialists. Our forest plan revision team will be there on 3 dates. So February 25th, we're going to be down at OU Southern in the Riff Rotunda there on campus. And then February 27th, we're going to be over in our Marietta unit at Frontier High School. And then March 3rd, we're having an open house at our headquarters in Nelsonville. So we're really encouraging anybody who wants to come to those events, talk to us. If you want to talk about forest plan revision, talk to our program managers. If you want to talk about some of the other stuff going on the Wayne, we're just really trying to encourage that dialogue and the open communication.
Absolutely, and get folks visiting, because there's a lot of folks we know in the area who haven't visited the Wayne, or maybe aren't utilizing it, and in some of the ways that don't realize the opportunities, I guess, that are there.
There's so many opportunities, and I feel like people sometimes, they use their little niche and they don't know the full breadth of what they could get from having this forest, in their backyard.
Great. Rachel, is there any way folks can give input if they can't make it to one of those meetings? What would be the best approach if they still wanted to?
Absolutely. So on our website, so if you visit the website, you can click right on our forest plan revision, and if you have comments specifically on our draft assessment, there's a comment portal right there, and we're asking that as many comments as possible go right through that comment portal, so the link is pretty prominent. And if you also, like I said, if you want to just give a call or send an email, we're always receptive to that as well for answering questions or comments, anything that might come in.
All right. Awesome, Rachel. So that seems like a great overview of this complex planning process. And if you would like, stay tuned. We're going to do one more little bit with Rachel on some of the other major projects that are happening on the Wayne.